We are back with another new mouse. This is the VXE Sora. I just got this in a couple of days ago and only now have the time to actually open it up. This is a collaboration between Ninjutso and Vaxee. So I haven't had very much luck with Vaxee mice. I could not for the life of me get rid of that squeakiness of that chassis or the body of the mouse. But let's see what this collaboration between Vaxee and Ninjutso mouse will look like. Maybe they learn something from Ninjutso and make mice that aren't squeaky. So let's check it out. I love the packaging from the Vaxee style. This is of course Vaxee packaging. All their mice are like this, very simple. It looks like the endgame gear kind of packaging, just cardboard everywhere, very little plastic. The cable is just laid on top of it. It is not a braided cable, but it is a rubber cable, so I don't know if I'm happy about that or not. To be honest, I'm quite used to the soft braided cable, so this is a little bit like the Logitech G Pro Superlight kind of cable, which I do have here right now, and it is like a rubberized kind of cable, which is also fine, but nowadays we're just so used to braided cables. Soft, pliable, looks so much nicer. But again, this is the Vaxee packaging. I like it very much because it's very kind to the environment. So let's rip it out there. And I believe this is 4K, which means I should have a 4K dongle here, which I do. And this is a Vaxee 4K dongle. And of course, Vaxee dongles are known to be reliable. So we're expecting good things from that. Let's pull out the mouse and get a first reaction from it. Wow, it does feel nice. It does feel solid. Yeah, this is definitely, let's put all this away. I don't need this. By the way, I'm rocking the new D-Glow Liz pad, and this pad is pour-on, very squishy. The surface is very different. It is a control pad, but it is kind of like shimmery, and the print is very sharp, and the colors are popping. This is a very nice pad. I'm not an anime person at all. I'm not really inclined to anime designs, but this is spectacular print. You can see the art has some shadows. It has some kind of like, is it called shading? So it kind of pops, and this is very good quality. But anyway, back to the Sora Vaxee. Looks like it has some rubberized base, which means it will grip on your table. It still has those notches there for their USB-C, which, you know, they had a proprietary USB-C, but I did look at their new USB-C cable. It looks like they decided to go for a normal looking USB-C that doesn't have the proprietary nature. It doesn't have the fangs around it that forces you to use only their cable, which means I can use any kind of other universal cable. It'll fit there without any problem. So that is good news. But let's go straight back to the Ninjutso Sora. If I'm being honest with you, it is a lot like a VXE R1 shape. In fact, I think the length is almost the same. Let me measure it out. I'm getting 122.7, and the R1 is even smaller. Sora is actually longer than the VXE R1. It feels, well, it feels familiar, but it's not the same grip width. I suppose this is going to be a 57 grip width, and this should be 59 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 58, 59. So it's somewhat familiar with the R1. R1 should be 21. 19.64 right there to the beginning of the scroll wheel. 19.64. What am I getting on the Vaxee? About the same. 19, or maybe even slightly a smidgen taller. But the immediate thing that I am noticing is the overhang on the buttons. Can you see the overhang? It is overhanging the chassis, while the VXE is kind of like flush to the body. You can see the VXE is like an extended version. The button is extended like an awning, overhanging. So if you have big hands and you grip right to the front, you're going to have plenty of space to rest your fingers. I gotta admit, it is very nice. And wow, I've used this mouse for a year, and I think this might replace it. I don't really feel the 60-gram weight. So if you're worried about it being too heavy, if you're used to the 39-gram mice, this is not going to be a problem. This is exactly 60.5 grams. I'm not feeling it in the hand. It feels great. The buttons feel really nice. And I'm not getting any squeaks. Now remember, my last Vaxee had a terrible squeak. The squeak was so bad that even when I was actuating M1 and M2, I was getting squeaky sounds even when I was actuating the buttons. I'll insert the video here. So you guys can see. But my first impression is this is really nicely built. The scroll wheel feels a little small. If you look at the scroll wheel, look at how wide the scroll wheel is, or you know what kind of size the scroll wheel is. And look at that scroll wheel. It is much smaller scroll wheel compared to a R1 or any other mice. Maybe this one is from the Skyrox V6, much bigger, and Vaxee Ninjutso using a much smaller scroll wheel, which means it is sticking out of the body less. I mean, it's not a problem for me. It doesn't feel like it is terrible. It feels nice. It feels lower, while traditional scroll wheel height is a lot higher. I don't know if there's any kind of competitive advantages for that, but it feels comfortable. I'm indifferent, I guess. I can't say if it's better or if it's worse. It just feels different, that's all. Let me compare that with a what is this mouse called again? the Noah, Finemax Noah. This is a Finalmouse medium, basically. It's a copy, and you can clearly see that the Vaxee Ninjutso Sora is a wedge shape, not a centralized hump like this. This is more like a rear hump, which is what a lot of people are going for nowadays. The Ninjutso Soras, the ATK F1s, the Hyperlight, Hitmax. Those guys are all kind of like rear hump mice. Even the Skyrock's V6, kind of like a middle hump, but it's still not really middle. It's kind of like towards the back a little bit, which is kind of like the popular shape nowadays for 2024. So I think this thing will be very popular, but it's not a cheap mouse. This is, if I'm not mistaken, $130, $140, but you do get 4K. You do get a better build quality than the original. Well, I didn't have the original Sora, but I do have the Sora V2. The Sora V2 definitely feels like it's got a thin shell. You can feel it in your hand, but it is a 39 grams, so you have to, it comes with the territory. If you want a 40-gram mouse, you're gonna expect a thinner shell, and you're gonna feel a thinner shell. But yeah, Vaxee X Ninjutsu means also you do not have a web driver. You don't have any kind of driver. You have a web manual, which you download from the website, and it'll show you what you need to do to connect, how you want to do your first connections, and what is the forward backward button, how to change your DPI. It's a combination of turning on and turning off, and holding down your forward button and right button and turning it on and turning it off to adjust your DPIs, or turn off your long high performance mode. I think right now it's off. It's on, and now I want to turn it off. I've got to do it again. Now it's off. So it's a blue light. I've got high performance mode off. My first impression is this is very, very nice in the hand. Absolutely amazing. But we'll see in a couple of weeks. I'll let you know how it performs, and we'll go more in depth on how the 4K performance is, how this wire feels. I'm not digging the rubberized wire. I prefer the soft braided cable, but that's not to say that this cable is stiff or anything like that. In fact, it is not, it is not excessively stiff. It's still pretty good, but we're used to the braided cables, and I think, if I'm being honest, I prefer the braided cable. But anyway, that's the Vaxee Ninjutsu Sora, and yeah, those are the highlights for you. I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.